So last night the Super Bowl happened, and I don't actually know the number of what Super Bowl it is because at some point Roman numerals just become fake. But it was the one where Philadelphia belt to ass the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm not a big fan of the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm not a big fan of Philadelphia's fan base. I like the players, but you know, Philadelphia, even you have to understand that burning your city down and calling people cunts who go to the game, that's not really cool. I don't know. But hey, you get the Philadelphia cheesesteak, and I'm not saying all fans are like that, but the ones who like assault people walk into their cars who are there to just watch their favorite team play football, do better. I don't know what to tell you, but hey, super happy for Jalen Hurts, Saquon, whatever. It doesn't matter. The only thing that I want to talk about in regards to the Super Bowl is the halftime show.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
And the fact that the most crazy thing and one of the most iconic moments, we're going to be talking about this in music history for a very, very, very long time to come. The fact that Kendrick Lamar got up on stage at the Super Bowl, had an entire stadium singing along to the song in front of the entire world, called his opponent's enemy, I don't know what you want to say, called Drake a pedophile in front of the planet. A few months ago, like, it was either during the beginning of this beef or at the end of the beef, I started talking about how I thought that Kendrick Lamar is one of the greatest music artists of all time. We don't talk about music a lot on the channel. I make my own music, not nearly to the level of incredibly talented artists like that. I just do it for fun and hobby. But Jacob and I are huge music fans and have followed the beef very, very closely. But the video I made about Kendrick Lamar really had nothing to do with that or the Drake thing. I had to address that very early on into the video. And I like a lot of the Drake stuff. Jacob, who I didn't tell that I was making this video, is going to be absolutely infuriated when he finds out that I made this video because he can't defend his pokey, Drake.
Stop! He's already dead.
Jacob is the biggest Drake fan on the planet. You will not find somebody who's more in love with Drake than Jacob on this channel. I'm absolutely sure of it. There isn't anybody on the planet. And I'm not making this video to shit on Drake. Absolutely not. I'm just kind of talking about how, like, insane this moment is for the history of music. It's insane.
You're goddamn right.
Talking about, like, the performance itself and taking out of a lot of, you know, the back half of it, which was about the Kendrick and Drake beef, I want to talk about, like, the performance as a whole, with the sub-themes of America and the effects and kind of making the skit, like a skit out of the performance. I really enjoyed. Dave Free and Kendrick are very, very good at this in their music videos, and that's why I was mostly excited about Kendrick Lamar performing at the Super Bowl, was their ability to bring that out. Kendrick's set in the Dr. Dre, Eminem, Snoop Dogg, you know, their Super Bowl performance. Kendrick's set is my favorite out of that whole performance. I thought it was sick as fuck. And I thought that his set was going to be an expanded version of that for his Super Bowl performance, and it absolutely was. So as a performance as a whole, Jacob will tell you this is not true, but
Shut the fuck up.
But as a performance as a whole, I thought it was a really good performance. Now, getting into the beef of Kendrick and Drake and everything, I'm not gonna come here and talk about, like, who's winning the beef or who is right and wrong, because, and regardless of the situation, both of them have thrown out some pretty heinous accusations at each other, and none of the accusations that they've thrown out in any of their songs have any real weight or evidence behind it. So you can go into it looking at, okay, well, it's either this is all true or none of it's true. And that now, as a reality, that's not the case. You know, one thing can be true and the other is not. But if you're looking at it with no hard evidence, you have to look at these diss songs as either they are trying to hurt each other with absolutely no evidence behind it whatsoever, or everything they're saying is true. You're going to get the same result no matter what. Who made the better songs? Who had the catchier things? Who are doing, you know, what with their time. Now, regardless of how you look at this, and I know I just said I'm not going to say who won the beef, but whenever I'm going to talk about everything in a second. Kendrick is clearly, you know, the one who's being seen as the winner of this beef, but Drake fans can rest assured that this is going to be just fine for him. Yeah, sure, like, it's probably an incredibly embarrassing moment for him, and he's not being painted in the public eye very well, and doubling down on it with the UMG lawsuit without a lot of context. Most people aren't going to have most of the context looking at it. It just kind of looks like a sore loser thing, even though it might not be, you know what I'm saying? He has very legitimate reasons to be pissed off about UMG if the claims that he is accusing UMG of is true. No doubt about that. But when it becomes like, is this going to end Drake's career? No. Is the Super Bowl an incredibly embarrassing moment for him? Absolutely. He can pretend like he doesn't care about it. I can't imagine anybody who gets called a pedophile in front of the planet can you know, like that's, like, I can't imagine anybody is gonna be like, yeah, I could just brush that one off the shoulder. I mean, that's gonna be incredibly embarrassing, but regardless, Drake's gonna do just fine. He's the highest selling artist on the planet. He just had a massive tour. He didn't really release anything in 2024 besides the Kendrick and him beef, and somehow Drake found his way on my top 5 artists of the year, and I don't even fuck with Drake like that as a music stance that heavily. But there's no doubt, like, he's released some bangers over the last couple of years. I feel like he's on the top of his game right now, and the good news is that the Kendrick beef brought it out of him.
Come on, man! That's too easy!
So while this is going to be a moment in music history that his name is unfortunately going to be tied to for a very long time, it's not going to be like an Eminem murdering Ja Rule's career type of thing, or like a 50 Cent, you know, ending the career of whoever, you know. It's not going to be like that. Like Drake is going to be just fine. They will talk about this forever. Like, this is going to live in a moment of history for sure whenever you kind of go back in the storybooks. But, like, he's going to release an album this year, and it's going to go #1. And sure, like, they're going to, like, Kendrick Lamar and Drake are going to be synonymous forever, similar to how Meek Mill and Drake are synonymous forever, except the effects that Meek Mill felt after Drake are far less than what Drake is going to feel after Kendrick, if that makes sense. And I feel like the evidence to that is, like, the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef situation was probably far more heinous than the Pusha T Drake situation. Now I understand, like, the Pusha T Drake situation had the leaking of his kid, and I get that, and the Kendrick one doesn't, even though in Meet the Grims they talk about a daughter, but that seemed to have been dropped as of late because it's probably just not true. My guess is Kendrick heard a rumor, and now we're finding out that there's not a whole lot of evidence or weight behind that rumor, and not like us just took off like a fucking missile, so you know, like, that is kind of just being put in the afterthought. Even though I feel like the Kendrick one you can probably mark down as more of a loss just because of the significance of how viral everything's being. Even after the Pusha T thing, Drake was perfectly fine. He still went on to do massive shows, massive numbers. He was still the #1 artist in the world, and that's not gonna change here. Muhammad Ali may have knocked out George Foreman, but that doesn't account that doesn't change the fact that George Foreman's still one of the greatest boxers of all time. If you're kind of following me here. But the moment itself is so insane that I kind of just want to circle back to it, is that this whole thing started. Now, Kendrick and Drake have been going at each other with subliminals for years and years and years, ever since the Control diss, which wasn't really like a Control verse, I guess you can call it. But this all started, like, the reigniting of the fire whenever they did the first-person shooter song with Drake and Cole, which, by the way, in an alternate universe, there is a version of that song where Cole, Drake, and Kendrick are all on the same track, and that is just fucking crazy and would have been awesome.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
But apparently Drake reached out to Kendrick. Kendrick's team declined to do the feature. They did the song anyway. They still put Kendrick in a positive light, saying that, well, at least J. Cole did, saying that Kendrick is in the big three. And even a line in this, in the song, it's the big as the Super Bowl. Now it feels like the beef is ending with Kendrick at the Super Bowl standing without the other members of the big three, but notably Kendrick, because Cole, dropped the seven-minute drill song, and then said that he, I'm not really, why am I getting in rap beefs anymore? Which, fair enough. I mean, it's insane. It's insane to think where this started, how this beef unfolded, and where it ended. And it might actually be the biggest rap beef of all time. Does it end in, violence and God, I hope not. I don't want anybody. I know there's rap beefs out there that have ended in violence, and I'm when I say biggest rap beef of all time or biggest music beef, I'm not obviously there's ones out there that have much more darker endings, and I don't want that to happen here. That would be. But these guys are the big dogs in this music scene today, and watching them duke it out has been incredible. I mean, we're blessed to see it, really. And I'm talking both of them. I obviously, if you haven't figured it out, I like a lot of the Drake stuff. I'm a Kendrick guy. I think Kendrick is a fantastic music talent, but I'm just talking from the perspective of it's insane that we got to watch these guys, until it got super personal, compete as if hip-hop is a sport. And that's kind of awesome to me. And maybe I can't imagine that this isn't personal at this point, but maybe to some sense, it's the personal shots are a part of the sport. But it's insane. It's insane to see where it started and how it literally ended with Kendrick. And it's not over, of course, but Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl, looking at the camera, smiling as he's saying it. Insane. It's crazy. So yeah, I just wanted to come on here and not rant, but kind of talk about this because it's insane. Let me know what you think. Fantastic Vor video out tomorrow. Jacob's coming with a GTA 6 one, and then Mission Impossible at the end of the week, and then we're going to have the end of our Forever Talking sports movies one. I know I said Fantastic Four end of last week, but things get in the way. It probably isn't fair of me to promise shit, but alas, here we are. So yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.